Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this video, let's start with arrays. So in this video, we will be understanding what are arrays and why do we need arrays in Java or basically any other programming language out there. Now, if you are a developer or you want to be a developer, arrays are something that you cannot miss out. So there is an array support in each and every language out there. So just watch this video very carefully. So in this video, we will be just discussing what are arrays and how arrays work internally. So let's first try to understand the problem that arrays are trying to solve here. So you know what are data types, right? That we have studied integer data type, we have studied booleans, we have studied strings. So basically we have studied bunch of data types, and array is basically a data type. Okay. Now let's say I have a integer, okay, a integer x, which is equals to let's say like 46, okay, which is completely fine, right? So basically what I am doing, I have an integer value 46 which I'm trying to store in x, and this thing is completely valid. But what if you want to store multiple values inside a variable? Let's say I have two numbers, I have a 46 and let's say I have a number 51. Now I want to store these both numbers in a single variable. Is that possible? Obviously not in this way. Okay, so this particular way can only and only store one constant at a time, and if I want to store two constants in a variable, that is not possible, right? So maybe I need to make one more variable and assign this variable to this and this x variable to 46. So basically what arrays allow you is they basically let you store multiple values inside a single variable. Okay, now why do we need it? What is the need to store multiple variable, like multiple constant in a variable? That we'll be discussing in the upcoming videos. But let's just try to understand what are arrays. Okay, as per the definition, arrays are collection of homogeneous elements stored in a sequential way. Now I know this can sound like a jargon, like maybe the people who are not new to programming may not understand this particular phrase, but don't worry, I'm here, I'll make you understand that. Okay, just watch this video till end. Now what I just said, that arrays, basically if I write it here, that arrays, right, are a collection, okay, or it is a collection, okay, of homogeneous elements. That means the same type of elements, okay, that are basically stored in a contiguous memory, or I can say in a continuous memory. Okay, let's try to understand each point here. So basically, let's say I have a collection of numbers. Okay, I have 1, I have 2, I have 5, I have 10. So what I can do basically in an array, I can store this collection. Okay, I need not to make different variable for each number. I can have a x array and I can store all these numbers into this x, which is okay. So first point is basically it lets me store a collection. Second point says that homogeneous. You cannot store heterogeneous elements in an array. Like you cannot say like x, the first value is 1 and the another value is, let's say, c as a string or maybe a character. So this is not allowed. Basically you should have same type of elements, like all are integers here, right? Or maybe I can say that like x is c, okay, and a p or a q. This is also valid because all the elements are of type character. So basically an array can only and only store a homogeneous elements, basically the same type of elements. Either have all the integers, either have all the strings, or either have all the booleans, like, but it should be all same, homogeneous. So our second point is also clear, right? And now let's come to the third point, which is really important, which is known as stored in a contiguous memory or a continuous memory. Now to understand this particular point, let's try to understand that what happens in memory and what are variables, like how variables work. So you know that let's say that you have a Java program, okay? So when you write a Java program, or I can say when you create a Java program, a memory, basically a RAM, I can say a memory is allocated to you, correct? Now you are free to use this particular memory to do anything, which is okay. Let's say you decided to make a integer variable x and store 46 in that. So what will happen is basically a block of size 4 bytes, because we studied that integer takes 4 bytes. A block of 4 bytes will be allocated to you, in which you can basically keep 46, and the name of this location will be x, right? So what this statement does is this basically do this thing, which is okay. Now let's say I say that integer y equals to 50. Now where this y will be created, like will it be created like side to the x or like randomly anywhere? So the memory allocation basically happens on the basis of compiler. Like compiler decides what memory address to give. So there are there is a high possibility that if x is here, y can be like aligned here, like can be assigned to me on this particular position. Okay, so this can be my y and this can be 50. So as you can see that the memory allocation is going randomly, right? It is not continuous. Basically, if I say continuous means if this block is assigned to me, then this block and this block is basically in a continuous memory. So as you can see that the memory allocation here is going completely random, right? So this is the random allocation of the memory. But in arrays, the memory allocation is continuous. Basically, if you get a block here which is completely random, the next blocks you will get in a continuous method, okay, in a continuous manner. So let's see what happens when you create an array. So let's say that I need an integer array, which basically means I'll be storing a collection of integers, okay? And let's say that the name of my variable is, I can say nums, basically numbers, okay? And let's say I say that I want to store 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, okay? Now what will happen is basically first of all one block will be created, okay, of 4 bytes basically, which is okay. Then how many elements are there? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 elements. So I'll be allocated with 5 blocks, okay, 3, 4 and 5, and the size of each block will be 4 bytes because it is an integer array. And what I can do is one will be kept in this block, then 2, then 3, then 4 and then 5, okay? So what's happening is basically I'm able to allocate a memory which is continuous, okay, which is not random, and a single variable, that is like this nums, basically points towards the first address of this array, okay? So if you create a single array, a single block is created which is completely random, and basically with the help of this particular variable, the x, you can access the particular value, okay? In case of arrays, what happens is like you created a num, so basically a continuous memory is allocated to you, okay, and you get the like pointer, or I can say address, or I can say the reference to the first block, okay, and you know that all the other blocks are continuous, so you can access them easily. So this is how the memory and the arrays work in Java, or maybe in general. Now let's see how arrays work in Java, okay? So see what happens is how you make array is basically you say that first of all data type, that is integer, because you want to store integer data type, right? Then basically you put up these parentheses, this square braces or square brackets, okay? Then you name your array. So let's say I say n, okay? Now at this point the compiler knows, okay, that you want to make a collection array of integers. Then you say to equals to, okay, and then you say new, basically the new keyword, and then you again say integer, okay, and then you specify the size here, okay, the size of the array. Like I want to store the 5 elements, so I will say 5. And what will happen at this point is basically this n will be pointing to a block, okay, where there are like 5 boxes in which you can keep the value in the memory, right? Now this n is basically pointing to the first address, okay, just keep this in mind, into the first address, and you can easily access the other blocks that are next to it because you know that they are next to it, they are not random. Now let's see how I can assign the values to these blocks, okay? Now there is something known as indexing, or I can say like this, each block has an index starting from 0. So this particular block has an index of 0, then this has a 1, and similarly 2, and then this 3, and then this 4, okay? So we have a size of 5 in which the first index is 0 and the last index is 4. Now let's say I want to keep number 3 here. So what I'll say n, okay, this is n, at index 0 set it equals to 3. So what this statement will do is this will basically put up 3 in the first block. Let's say I say that n of 3 is equals to 10. So what this statement will do is basically it will put up 10 here because the index of this particular block is 3 and I'm saying that put it equals to 10. So that's how you can store values in array. And similarly, if you want to retrieve these values, what you can say like SOUT system.out.println and give me n of 3. So basically this will s out value 10 because on the third index you have 10 value, right? So this was how arrays work. So arrays are basically a collection of numbers, okay, not a numbers, basically collection of homogeneous elements that are stored in a sequential manner. Now, because they are stored in sequential manner, basically our variable is only and only holding the address to the or the reference to the first block, which is here. And when I say like 0, 1, 2, 3, the compiler knows that where is the next address because the next address is just right next to it. Okay. Now see one more thing. If I say that integer, basically an array n equals to new integer, right? And then let's say I say that 4 here, which is size 4. So an array will be created whose first index will be 0 till 3, which is correct. Now how much memory is being taken by it? Now how much memory is being consumed by this n? So I can say that there are 4 blocks created, right? 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now because this is an integer array, so each block contains 4 bytes of memory. Not contains, basically consumes. So I can say that this takes 4, this takes 4, this consumes 4 and this consumes 4. So this is like 4 into 4. So this particular n is taking up 16 bytes of storage. Okay. Similarly, what if I say that a character array c equals new character, okay, char character, and let's say size 4. So you know that character takes up 1 byte, okay, 1 byte of storage. And what will happen, basically a block will be created like this. And what will happen, basically this will take 1 1 1 1 and total memory that is consumed is 4. So that's how arrays work. I hope that you have a basic understanding on what are arrays, how arrays work, why arrays are useful. And basically if I repeat the definition says that arrays are collection of homogeneous elements stored in a sequential manner in the memory. So this was all about arrays. In the next video, we'll be doing some coding on the arrays. We'll be storing the elements in the array, we'll be retrieving them, and we'll be doing bunch of questions. And arrays are super duper important. Just in case you have any doubt in this video, feel free to ask that in comments or just repeat this video. Don't skip this video. This is really important.